Hello! So in today's episode we are going to be making a wooden shack. And I'm going to keep the basic cube. So I'm going to select these two, press X and delete it. Next up I want to just turn this into a plank. Actually that's still too thick. Make it a little wider. And we have a plank. Next up, I'm going to quickly just do an unwrap on this. So to do that, I'm just going to select both ends. And this edge. And go edge. Mark seam. If I check the UV editing, select it and unwrap it. Should unwrap it. Yep, fairly as expected. Perfect. We're going to shading. Should now be able to go click on that. I'm going to use Control-Shift-T, and I'm just going to go into my textures, and I just want a wood texture. There we go. Take all of those, principal texture setup. Boom, perfect. Now if I go back to layout, if the program doesn't freeze, there we go. And we do have wood. Gone to material mode. And I'm going to UAV editing, and go back to the material mode in here. I can see that I want the texture sort of the other way around, so I'm actually going to rotate it and bring it along. It is actually a tileable texture, which means that I don't actually need to worry about sticking to the ends, but just to be safe, I'm going to do it like that anyway. I don't actually have to worry too much about these end pieces because they're not going to be visible. But I'm going to select it, and I know that I want this one here just to be facing the same way as the others. One, I'm going to put it just on the side here. There, just so now it's sideways like the others. Brilliant. Now, with that one done, I'm going to pop back to layout, onto side view. I'm going to quickly add an array modifier. I don't want it to go sideways, I want it to go up. I'm going to rotate this just to make a slight angle, and then I'm going to decrease the Z so it overlaps. I'll decide how much I want it to overlap by. About that. Now I can actually increase the count here. And if I check the height, it currently goes up by a fair amount. 2.65 meters. And that makes me realize that probably a little wide. So if I shrink it in a bit, not worry too much about texture wrapping up. Perfect. Going to red mode, still a bit dark because I haven't got anything going on it. Brilliant. Now I can add another array modifier. I want to increase that gap a tiny bit. Not by that much. There we go. But I probably want some sort of post here, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a cube. No, I'm not. I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm going to bring it out on its own. I want cube 001. Pull it out. Delete these two. For some reason I have particle settings on this. I'm just going to remove it. I expect that was me showing someone how to do something earlier. And I'm going to select everything, rotate it, and I'm going to place it just like so. And remove this up a bit. It's down. I essentially want this to meet the bottom. Perfect. And then on this end, I'm just going to scale it up a little on the Z and move it up a little. There we go. And I actually need to balance this back out again Doesn't matter if this overlaps a little bit. Perfect. So this will act as one wall. Grab another one. Actually, delete that. I just remembered something else I can do. Actually, I don't think I need to with this, no. So if I select all of this and do Alt-D, it creates another version of it. And then I want to essentially line these corner pieces up. Perfect. Now I can add another cube. Scale it down. Move it across. I'm just going to add this corner piece here. I want it to overlap a little bit, but not too much. And I want it to stick out a tiny bit on each end, like so. Move it up. And then I'm going to select this piece and whoomph, bring it up. Now if I go into shading, I do want this same material, which I'm actually going to name wood. But if I go into the UV editing, I'll probably find that this is way too strong. So I'm going to go select the top piece here, select the bottom piece, and then I need to select one line to connect them up. I'm going to select this one. So you'll notice that when I'm selecting seams, I'm always trying to select seams that aren't visible. Just to try and keep it as hidden as possible what's actually happening. And again, I'm going to rotate it sideways so that the grain on the wood is going the way I want it. Oh, that was almost perfect. Again, tileable texture, I don't actually need to worry about this, but I'm not going to worry about the tops here because they're not going to be visible. So the actual render I was planning is going to be about here. So I will need a roof. I'm going to add a ground plane. So I add this here. Make sure it's covering the whole part of this camera. And I'm also going to move it this way. And this way. Perfect. So obviously that's not particularly small, but that shouldn't be an issue. And I'm going to need a roof on this. So I'm going to go add a plane. Bring it down here. And move it to where I want it. So I'm going to start about here. I'm going to bring it up to about here. And I'm going to check how high this is. I'm going to take the Z coordinate by highlighting over it and pressing Control C. And I'm going to bring that down, and then I'm going to hold over it and press Control V so I get the right height. Next up, I'm already on the right height here, so I actually want the Y coordinate from this. And I'm going to press V again. Now, obviously that isn't the way that we want this to cut. So what I'm going to have to do is select this and press J to connect the two up and cut it the way we want it. It does create a triangle, but that's actually not an issue for what we're doing here. So I'm going to have to go and I'm going to scale by -1. And sadly did not work the way I wanted it to. So I'm going to select all again. I'm going to, what do I actually want here? Actually, I think I can probably, I would mirror it. Let's do that. I'll go mirror. add a clipping, scale it into the middle, and now move it over. Luckily this line here acts to perfectly center it. And that's all I really need for a roof. Obviously I will need textures on it though. Same as this ground plate here. So I'm going to go into the shading again, select it, unwrap it, and I'm going to go new texture here, selecting this, Ctrl-Shift-T. I need sort of a dirt texture, so I have dirt 02 here, which looks like this, or I have just a dirt one, which is a lot of a lighter colour. So let's go for dirt 02 because I prefer the look of that one. Change this to ground. Something I'm probably going to notice almost instantly here is that the texture is absolutely huge. So this isn't ideal at all. So let's change this to 5 across the board. A little bit too big still. Let's try 10 across the board. So assuming this to be a house, that's still a massive stick, so I'm going to go higher still. A little bit better, maybe a little bit more. Let's try 18. There we go, that's about right. I don't have to worry about the fact that it's clearly tiled. Like, you can see the tileable nature in it, because any time where there's like this line here, which is a bit darker, gets repeated over and over and over again. Not going to make a single bit of difference because I'm going to add some grass. And I want hair. Now I want to go into File, Append, and we're actually going to bring back the grass that we used before. And if I go here, go up, I believe I saved it in my resources folder, and just grass, I did. So I'm going to go Object, Grass 03. And I'm going to just move it down a little, just so it's below the map. And I'm going to select this again, Render, Object, and I want my Grass 03. Bam. Now we have some grass. A little bit small, so I'm going to go and make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to choose the scale randomness, so it's not all the same size, and I'm going to scale them up a little, because our house is a little bit big, so a little bit more maybe. Around right here, interpolate the grass, and we have our grass scene, but it's still a little bit dark, so I'm going to go, I still need a texture for the roof as well. I don't know if I have a good texture for this yet. Let's have a look. Rock, grass, alpha, ground, dirt, cliff, leather, metal. Ooh, I don't really have a good one for this at the moment. Let's go for a... We'll just put the wood on for now, which I should probably mean I should just go for selecting it like that. But if I go onto here, weird texture wrapping here. So what we're going to do, select it all, and I'm just going to hit unwrap because it's actually relatively flat. There's also a very obvious mirror there, but you won't see it really in this screen. I would replace this texture. I would want some sort of... I'm not really sure. I think I would want like a hay. And I'm just going to select here, J, that and that, and J. The reason I'm doing that is now I'm going to select that line, and I'm going to scale it up a bit, because I want it to sort of tilt out, not that much. Let's bring it back in. Select just those two, scale that one out a bit, and GX, so it sort of curves, and this one GY. And then I'd want to change that for some sort of hay, I think. I can also make some adjustments onto this. What if I change this to object? Would that instantly mess it up? Yes, it would. What about generated? I want something where it slightly randomizes the texture a bit, but for now I'll just keep it like this. So that is how you make it's all red because I've got face orientation on and these are flat planes. That is how you make a very quick scene in Blender. I should throw in a sunlight, light, sun. Now location of the sun doesn't matter, I'm just going to shine it right here. And boom, we've got a sun, make it a little brighter. Actually no, let's not make it brighter. And we have a sun lighting up our scene. Thank you for watching, and next episode I will add more to this, and I'll try and turn it into a full scene with sort of a cabin in the woods. I am going to add an entrance into this house and a window into it, and maybe we'll add a character in. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.